What are the top Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel decks post-selection pack ride into the future? Today, me and chat are going to be talking about that, and it's going to be really exciting to give you my takes and to see if later on in the format, if I'm correct, because I've been pretty spot on from the last tier list. As always, if you want to see more amazing content, you already know what to do with that subscribe button, and be sure to check out the other videos at the end, as well as watch the entire video for some incredible takes. Let's go ahead and start off with Branded. It was really nice to see Branded get 3 Branded Fusion in Master Duel for the TCG event, but now we're back to 1 Branded Fusion. Fortunately enough, I don't think that changes the dynamic of the deck. It's still a fairly powerful Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck in Master Duel. Blazing Cartesia has pretty much carried the deck in fusion summoning, and then there's so many other ways for this deck to play. One popular thing that I've been seeing about Branded players is that they've been playing more of a Branded Synchro-esque build, and in place of that 1 copy of Branded Fusion when they don't see it, I think it's a really good choice. Dark Worlds, guys, it's probably time for me to stop coping with this deck. I have said that this deck is pretty good, and unfortunately, it doesn't have the toppings in the TCG, doesn't have the representation in the Master Duel. I think we're going to go ahead and finally put it at Xbox crossplay off. I think that Dark Worlds is way too expensive. And by the way, this could be a guide on what you want, or a guide for you to be able to pick a competitively successful Master Duel deck. We're going to take budget into consideration. Dark World's way too expensive for what it gets you. Auto losing to Droll, losing to Maxi at the correct times, and not putting a substantial board to be able to establish. Granted, Dark World will get support with the new Dark Corridor card, and will even get Chlorless soon. It's still not a deck worth playing because it's way too expensive and loses to so many cards in the game. Also, like Sammy did say, the hand loop doesn't exist. Chat, have you guys even seen Dragons? This deck, I have not seen this deck. It's pretty much dead, in my opinion. I'm going to put in an experimental, though. LMAO D-Link. And it's mainly because I think Dragons can always take a different form and become a better deck. Could this be me coping? I'll let chat let me know if Dragons could ever be plausible again. But this could be representative for Dragon Maid. It could be representative anytime we get new Dragon cards, which unfortunately, there's not a lot. I think the Bestial Serenair at 1 was probably the final coffin in the deck. But if you want to experiment with a Dragon deck, have at it. Let me go ahead and... Yo, who is this hitting my line, chat? Yo, come on now. I ain't that famous now. Come on now. Boom, boom, boom. Now let's get on to the next one, right? Exo Stepsisters. D-Link is deader than number 24 from the late. God damn it, bro. Stop. Exo Sister is in a pretty interesting spot. I think that this deck plays best when decks are graveyard reliant, and the new cards coming out do have some graveyard synergy that I would like to say for this strategy. One of the biggest things for Exo Sister is that it is a fairly expensive deck, and you need to probably put a little bit more effort than you would normally have to for the deck's expense. I would say only go for the deck if you genuinely want to put a Stepsister in the dryer. Floowandereeze, I don't have the heart to put it in Xbox crossplay off. I think Xbox crossplay off is A, way too expensive, B, does not have the merit. But like Dragon Link, Floowandereeze is a deck that was hit really hard, but still could be playable under certain circumstances. I think I'm going to put it in experimental. There will be some support in Floowandereeze that will make the deck a lot more consistent, but no time soon. Labyrinth, I still think is a really good strategy. Weirdly enough, losing the Labyrinth monsters actually did hurt a little bit, but not enough to make this deck like completely bad. Keep in mind, this is still best of 1 in Master Duel, and if you go first with Labyrinth, you're probably going last as well. Marine Sus does not lose to Maxi. Marine Sus does not lose to Maxi. Why does this deck lose to Maxi, guys? I absolutely hate it. Marine Sus can be incredibly good. World Sea Dragons Atlantis is crazy, but anytime your opponent maxes, pack it up. One thing that I will say about Marine Cess is that this deck is incredibly cheap. Chat, that's something we can all agree with, right? The deck is not bad. It's cheap as hell, making it a pretty solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck for a player getting in or looking for a new deck. Heroes get a new monster. Now, I can't remember the name, but the new monster doesn't really change anything about Heroes. It's one of the only anime decks that actually can keep up with some of the better decks in the game, right? Marine Cess is best going second if your opponent has a full board of 0 negates. Infernal Flame Wingman can be played in the deck and can be successful in the deck. But to be honest, it does not change Heroes into a top tier Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's still going to be and takes a really good pilot. You guys remember Math Mech Circular? I'm curious, where would you guys put Math Mech Circular and Math Mechs in general? A lot of people said that losing Math Mech Diameter was not the move. Like, it wasn't. But ever since Math Mech did lose Diameter, this deck has been still falling in popularity. We got J-Mork saying really good. Who else do we got here, guys? Like, it gives another one-turn choice with favorite contact. Oh, he's talking about Heroes. It takes a good pilot. Math Mech is not meta, but still up there. I think Math Mech would be and takes a really good pilot because you have to learn how to use Diameter. Still a very solid, powerful deck. And probably the better of all of the takes a really good pilot deck. But the hits have definitely started to slow Math Mech down and show the deck what it is. If you guys are playing Ninjas in Master Duel, you're a top tier Yu-Gi-Oh player. Bro, I'm not under a shutting gun at all. Nah. Bro, this is not a genjutsu whatsoever. Ninjas are one of the best decks in Master Duel. And let me explain. If you go to Xbox and you turn crossplay off and you only play your little brother, you're beating him every time. Every single time, bro. That's exactly how it happens. And actually, the flashbacks are real. Did you lose with this deck of strikers? Bro, chat, why are you guys coming at me like that? Bro, I'm just saying I could beat my little brother any given time if I turn Xbox off and I play him all day. Top tier deck. He uses ninjas. I use 6 samurais. I'm not losing at all. Bro, that Sky Striker game was not fair. He backseat me 3 times in a row. So he won. He won out of luck, sheer luck. You my homie, but we got to keep it a C note on 55th Street. Y'all hate me here. I would say that Plunder Patrol, we can put Plunder Patrol into, I would say experimental right now. Super Heavy Samurai is one of the best decks in the game, and it consists of Earth monsters. Jord is not a monster that you can really summon. Also, Plunder Patrol's best engine is completely nerfed in this deck, but I don't think it's a bad Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Unfortunately, Plunders are really expensive, and that's the problem with the deck. I think if Plunders were cheaper, people would be more inclined to Plunders. I haven't seen Plunder in months. I 100% agree, guys. Like, Plunder is crazy. Put Ninjas under a really good pilot? Come on. That's cope. That's cope. We're obviously going to put Dark Magician into crossplay off. Dark Magician is not better than Ninjas. It's not better than... It might be better than Dark World. It actually might be better than Dark World. This might be accurate. And then for these, I would probably say something like this. And then for here, probably this. Because this is really, really expensive, right? But Dark Magician's just... Yeah, at least these are structured decks, right? You don't have to invest a lot. They could get you all the way to Diamond. Once you get to like mid to high Diamond, you might start to struggle. Gold Pride Punk. Wait, we don't have Gold Pride yet. Do we have Gold Pride? We do have Gold Pride. All right, cool. I still think the deck's really good. For some reason, my brain turned off. And I was like, we don't have Gold Pride yet. But what I was thinking was Goblin Biker, right? Yeah, like, I was thinking Goblin Biker. That's actually what I was thinking. This deck continuously gets support and is definitely worth it. It is one of the better decks in the game. I would actually say it's a little bit better than Labyrinth. Unfortunately, with Gold Pride Punk is that it loses to simple cards like Book of Eclipse. But the good thing is that players are not playing cards like Book of Eclipse. Not anymore. Pure Punk, I would say Pure Punk is pretty Xbox cross-play off. The reason why is because there's almost no reason not to play Gold Pride Punk at all. Like, there's zero. The Gold Pride cards are not crazy expensive. It's a solid deck, and it adds so much to the strategy. We already talked about it. Super Heavy Samurai is a top Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's crazy good. One of the best decks in the entire game. Makes people look silly, and is just a top overall card, or a top overall strategy. Punk Cash is dead? Of course it is. And now we get to talk about other strategies like Red Dragon Archfiend. This is a deck that potentially is coming to Master Duel very soon. I can tell you, when it does come to Master Duel, if we get all of the support that was in the structure deck, takes a good pilot. Probably even experimental. And the reason why I actually lean towards experimental is because the Bestial monsters are hit, and Red Dragon Archfiend is needing of some of the newer cards that would make the deck a little bit more consistent. I know the name isn't Red Warthog, chat. Help me out here. The new card that is really good, like the new Red Dragon Archfiend card. It's like a level 3 Fiend monster. I cannot remember its name. I think it's very helpful for the deck. It makes the deck go full combo. The problem with this is that it doesn't do enough just yet. Lotus King, I think that might be the name. It's a really good card and allows the deck to actually do combos. But since the Bestial monsters are hit, and the deck's already not doing incredibly good, the Bestial monsters themselves aren't even great, I'm going to put in experimental, though I do think it can be better, and I will actually do a Master's journey with this deck. All right, nothing really changes for Vanquish Soul. One of the biggest hits to Vanquish Soul was Kashtira Fenrir to 1. Other than that, this deck is incredibly cracked, really good. I would actually even go as far to say that it doesn't really play incredibly well into combo, but it's still a really, really good Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Rika would definitely be in the exact same spot as Marine Cess. And the problem is, this deck loses to Max C2, but you also have to play against the timer, which is never any fun, right? Scareclaw, I would put in experimental. The best version of Scareclaw is pretty much dead. Kashtira Fenrir at 1 really hurts this particular strategy, but there will be more cards to help the deck tremendously in the future. Sprite, I don't think Sprite's incredibly good, but Sprite is nowhere near bad. Ironically, this deck has kind of leveled itself off as like a deck that doesn't do too much, but doesn't necessarily do enough to win games by itself. Sword Soul, chat, we hear a lot about Sword Soul, and I love that it is a new structure deck, and if it makes it incredibly cheap. Like, that's the good thing about it. The bad thing about it is that there are times where you can feel just completely behind. So I'm going to put Sword Soul and takes a really good pilot. Sword Soul needs a good pilot. I'd say it takes a good pilot. So I think we're all in unison here. This is going to be a cheap, good Yu-Gi-Oh deck when the structure deck comes out for it. But unfortunately, you're not going to just win games because cards like Maxi, Nibiru, a well-timed Effect Veiler, and Infinite Impermanence exist. Chaos, let's give it up, guys. Deck's dead. Let's not even talk about it. It's not even there. Tearlaments, ironically, in Master Duel, they may have done it best. I would put it in an experimental one. The TCG, this deck ruins people's lives. Now, not so much. I would say that Trap Tricks are also cross-play off. The deck is a little bit too expensive for what it does. It's not a deck that goes first very well. You said Tier is down bad. We probably could argue that. We probably could argue this. Yeah, I think it's actually arguing this. But Trap Tricks is terrible going second. It doesn't really have anything that's good with it. Its graveyard cards, or its best cards, are graveyard cards, and that's not exactly where the format is headed, like, for those cards to work. If you're making Trap Tricks, you might as well make Lab. That's 100% facts, and I think these decks are the same price. So, the only thing is that Chris Hansen is not going to call you for making Labyrinth. He will for Trap Tricks. Blue Eyes, it's so crossplay off, chat. Don't even bother playing Blue Eyes. It's crazy bad. Pearly, I would say Pearly is experimental. The deck keeps getting hit. It's definitely one of the most hit decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Monadium gets Crimson Dragon. Prepare yourselves, chat. Monadium gets one of the strongest cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's gonna be really rough. Easily summoning monsters like Dispatter. I hope that Chaos or Red Dragon Archfiend Calamity gets banned. Monadium isn't even meta right now. It's like tier 2. Yeah, okay. We'll see. We'll see. Because Crimson Dragon changes so much for the deck. And as you already know, the deck continues to get more support. I think Dragon Rollers are a fun experimental deck. I'd put it right here. It's decent. It actually does better than Xbox Crossplay Off. So I would put Zodiac in experimental. I don't think that it's a bad Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck whatsoever. Ironically, if you're playing Sky Striker, which takes a good pilot, these two decks are fairly interchangeable. Again, the only difference between these two decks is that Chris Hansen won't call you for playing Zoo, but Sky Strikers, you say the wrong word and FBI, open up, easy. Like, just don't even worry about it. You're going to jail. Do not pass go type thing, right? These two decks are pretty good though. Like with the right pilot, and this one I would say is a little bit worse. I think Dinos are definitely a deck that takes a really good pilot. Dino seems to be a strategy that requires a lot of complex thinking sometimes, and it's really good in a combo deck. To be honest, we had it that takes a really good pilot. I'm going to put it in really good. And allow me to explain. The best decks in Master Duel are combo decks. Like combo deck. This is a combo killer. Dino legitimately, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno clears every board. Easy. Like you get into a spot, you summon monsters, they negate your cards, they destroy your cards. Tyranno. You win the game because you crack in their board. 10 times out of 10. Also, Mist can protect your board from like hand effects and stuff like that. So Dinos, if this is a combo format, which is starting to shape up to be, Dino is a combo killer, and that's what the deck is especially good at. And I would put it in really good because of that. It's just incredible at that. Dino Morphia? I don't think Morphia is bad, guys. I wouldn't say that it's the best. You know what I mean? Like, trap-based Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck, probably better off playing Labyrinth. DBL Star is a strategy. Some people think it is an engine. It actually is a deck. The Snake Eyes DBL Star deck is actually a deck. Right now, would not play it. You don't have Populace. You need Snake Eyes Populace to make this deck good. But as an engine, this deck goes in just about everything, and it makes decks incredibly competitive. TGs? I'm gonna have to move Xbox Crossplay off a little over again because don't play this damn deck. Chat, it's bad. It's really, 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 really bad. And it might be expensive and bad. It's just a worse synchron. The card isn't Populous, it's Popular. Oh, thank you, Berserker. Next is Junk. I would put Junk in. It takes a really good pilot. Revolution, Synchron, and Crimson Dragon do help the deck a ton. But instead of making Calamity Lock, you're doing other things with it. It's far better than the TG deck. If you're going to play a Synchro deck, do not play TG. It's going to be your worst investment ever. Just play the Junk. And Infernable with the DBL Stars is the best, one of the best decks in the game. As you can see, the best decks in the game are combo. The next best decks are mid-range. The third best decks are specialty decks that they're pretty much mid-range or combo, but they obviously do not have that it factor to just destroy the meta. Experimental are decks that kind of fall into the wayside because they don't do anything really special. And Xbox Crossplay Off, well, they're normally the same group of guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this tier list. It's been exciting. Can't wait to see you guys on the next one. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about some of my rankings. So go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section. And of course, I'll catch you on the next one.